Chapter 881, Plan 1, Flaming Sacred Body. 9 Suns Sacred Flame. Heavenly Water, Earth and Fire. While everyone was in shock, Lingtian's expression remained calm as he spoke softly. Immediately, the flaming sacred body circulated, and the 9 suns sacred fire and the heavenly water earth fire were unleashed. It would be an insult if someone used flames to kill him in front of him. He was a dignified flaming sacred body. If he was destroyed by flames, it would be an insult to the flaming sacred body. When the flaming sacred body was displayed, the fire divine persona also started to circulate. In the air, the divine might of the fire element erupted. Although it was only a little, it was enough. Boom! When the defense was activated, Wuxia Chronicles' attack had already landed on the ground, fiercely bombarding Wu Yun's body. Instantly, the ground collapsed, and destructive energy wreaked havoc in the space. The air was filled with the aura of desolation. A destructive halo appeared on the ground. The halo carried the aura of desolation. This halo swept across a radius of 100 miles. Everything within a radius of 100 miles became ruins. The aura of desolation did not disappear for a long time. When Lingtian was struck by blazing sparks, his terrifying defense blocked it before it devoured and refined it, turning it into a tonic for him. Yinglong and the others finally heaved a sigh of relief. They were all shocked. Whoosh! In the air, the last gust of wind disappeared, leaving the land in ruins and desolation. However, it finally quieted down. Lingtian looked at the spot where he had attacked and saw a black hole with a radius of 100 meters appear on the ground. He did not know how deep the black hole was. However, this Wu Yun had completely fallen and disappeared from the world. This martial god expert must have died the most grievous death in the entire divine martial continent. Bei Mingshu's shocked expression calmed down, and a faint smile appeared on her face. She said softly. After she finished speaking, the other girls also laughed. Indeed, he had been killed in 2 moves. Such a martial god powerhouse would probably die the most aggrieved death. He was too careless. Otherwise, he might still have a chance. Lingtian landed with a faint smile on his face. He appeared to be able to kill a 3rd firmament martial god powerhouse without suffering any damage. This was also the reason why no one knew about this place. If the other powerhouses were to witness Lingtian killing a 3rd heaven martial god powerhouse so easily, they would definitely be shocked. Sir Lingtian's god's judgment is something that a powerhouse at the 3rd heaven of the war god realm can't remove even if he takes it seriously. Yinglong said seriously. He was right because Lingtian's divine judgment had already surpassed the power of the divine power. In actual combat, he had fused the power of the ice and fire godheads. These 2 attributes were heaven-defying by themselves, and after fusing them, they were even more heaven-defying. Even without the divine persona, his Wuxia Chronicles was still a heaven-defying existence. Now that he had the divine persona's divine might and the divine persona's might, his methods carried a trace of the might of a true god. What was even more terrifying was that Lingtian's divine judgment was invisible and traceless without any warning. Moreover, this attack was similar to pressure. Ordinary experts would think that it was pressure if they did not know. However, by the time the opponent knew, the attack had already landed on their body. If one was attacked by the divine judgment, both the body and the sea of consciousness would be destroyed at the same time. The main reason was that the divine judgment was not a single physical attack, but an attack on the consciousness. After hitting it, even a heaven-defying expert would be injured. For the time being, I can only deal with experts at the 3rd level of the war god realm. If I encounter a 4th or 5th level martial god expert, I won't stand a chance. Also, if I encounter an expert with a heaven-defying divine sense or an expert with a heaven-defying treasure, I can also avoid the divine judgment. Lingtian looked at Yinglong with a calm expression as he spoke. This was also what he had guessed. Even now, he still didn't know the true power of God's judgment. However, it was enough to injure a 3rd firmament martial god. In fact, he himself did not know how powerful the divine judgment was, or why it was so powerful. This divine judgment was the first time he felt depressed about a divine power. He didn't have any background, so he couldn't understand this God's judgment. However, your divine sense has already reached a terrifying level. There aren't many experts below the third heavenly layer of the war god realm whose divine sense is stronger than yours. Moreover, the devouring light and the eye of the divine soul can allow your divine consciousness to improve rapidly. As long as you don't encounter any heaven-defying experts, there shouldn't be any problems. Huang Fu Yuyan said gently. She was the most familiar with Li Lingtian's abilities. She had witnessed Li Lingtian slowly climb up from the warrior king realm to the martial saint realm. His cultivation had already surpassed her peak. His strength had reached a terrifying level, shocking her. She was elated to see Li Lingtian's growth with her own eyes. More importantly, this powerhouse who had grown up was her man and her pillar of support. In the past, he had helped him and also helped himself. This bet was right. Because she had someone to rely on, both physically and mentally. This man was her support and the love of her life. Now that this man had risen to power, she was naturally excited. Yes, after I leave the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace this time, I'll have to properly adjust my strength. Let's go. We've already obtained the will of the great path of water and fire. We still haven't obtained the will of the great path of metal, wood, and earth. Li Lingtian nodded. Now that his faction was already heaven-defying, he would not be in much danger as long as he did not encounter any heaven-defying powerhouses. Huang Fu Yuyan's words made sense. Since he had cultivation techniques and resources, he had to improve his strength. He also had to make good use of the devouring light and the eye of the divine soul. This was the best way to refine his divine consciousness. Indeed. I hope that brother Lingtian can obtain all of the Tao intent. At that time, the 5 elements Tao intent will improve in all aspects, and his strength will soar. However, little brother Lingtian, I'm afraid you won't be able to kill a third heavenly layer war god anymore. The matter of the Black Continent has also been settled. You can subdue a few of them so that you can relax. The group flew at high speed. Xiaoyao spoke to Li Lingtian as they flew. During this period of time, Li Lingtian had killed quite a few powerhouses. Although only 9 powerhouses had to leave Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, he had to leave a few powerhouses here. Although the Carefree Dynasty was powerful, it was impossible for them to fight against the Sky Blue Empire and the Heavenly Sun Empire without a few heaven-defying experts. Even if Li Lingtian were to do it himself, it would not be so easy. If there were a few third firmament war gods, things would be much easier. Xiaoyao sis is right. From now on, those who obey will prosper and those who oppose will die. If you can submit, you will be spared from death. Actually, I've already made plans for this matter. The 9 experts who can leave must be my people. Otherwise, everyone here will die here. Li Lingtian's expression was icy cold, and so was his aura. He had already made up his mind that there would be a slim chance of survival. Those who entered the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace would not just have a slim chance of survival. Of the 99 tokens and 99 experts, only 9 went out. Only when the last 9 of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace were left would they gather together to open this Immortal Palace. Otherwise, they would all stay inside. He had already thought it through. The 9 experts who went out would be controlled by him as much as possible. Otherwise, he would try his best to kill them. Huang Fu Yuyan and the others could also take the place of the other experts, so it would not be a problem for them to leave. Leave this matter to me. If I can't solve it, it won't be too late for Sir Lingtian to make a move. Lin Zhirong volunteered. His expression was calm, but his heart was extremely shocked. If he had not chased after the token and made a bet with Li Lingtian, he would not have known about Li Lingtian's strength or how terrifying they were. Moreover, he might be killed by Li Lingtian sooner or later. Now that he heard about it, he felt lucky. He was lucky, but the other powerhouses weren't so lucky. All right. 13 third firmament war gods have entered. Aside from you, there are 12 more. However, I've already killed 4 of them. There are still 8 left. However, of the remaining 8 third firmament war gods, I can at most subdue 3 or 4 of them. I definitely won't agree to the others. Therefore, I'll reluctantly accept the second firmament war gods. For second firmament war gods, 3 or 4 third firmament war gods. Lingtian spoke in a casual tone. Lin Zhirong was already numb to this. If the other powerhouses were to hear Lingtian, a martial saint, speaking so arrogantly, who knew what they would think? A martial saint expert had to give a spot to a martial god expert to subdue him. If word of this got out, people would simply treat him as a lunatic. All right. Lin Zhirong nodded as he understood Lingtian's intention. There were 4 second firmament martial gods and 3 to 4 third firmament martial gods. Including him, there were 7 to 8 people, including Lingtian himself. He felt more at ease when his own people opened the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. No matter what, everything was in his own hands. This was the true strength of the experts. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The group flew quickly. Although they couldn't fly 100 meters in the air, they could fly close to the ground. For Huangfu Yuyan and the others, who were at the martial supreme realm, flying was a simple matter. I didn't expect this. I never thought that I would pass the DUI Palace's test so easily. There are actually 2 divine sparks. This is heaven's will. In the depths of the void, the ethereal voice muttered to itself. Although his voice was calm and filled with a sigh and surprise, no matter how one listened to it, one could not hear the slightest emotion in his voice. It was as if the voice was mechanical, cold and emotionless. From the beginning to the end, the owner of this voice did not appear. It was like air, or rather, a consciousness in this void. Chapter 882, Land of Yellow Sand. Lingtian and the others flew quickly toward the south. However, Lingtian had countless questions in his mind. The 9 palaces in Xiaoyao Immortal Palace were somewhat different from those in the Array Path. He had long discovered this problem. Not only him, even the experts who did not understand Array Dao also understood the problem here. It was just that this place was too strange. He could not figure it out at the moment, so he could only take one step at a time. Now, he had already obtained the will of water and fire from the Qian, Ken, Dui, and Kuan palaces. Although the palaces were different from the normal 9 temples, his cultivation had increased greatly after obtaining the 2 wills. Only after obtaining all the will of the Great Path would he be able to see what was really going on in this place. In the next half a month, Lingtian and the others obtained the will of the Li Palace, Zhen Palace, Zhen Palace, and Sun Palace. With a 3rd firmament martial god like Lin Zhirong, subduing a 2nd firmament martial god was a piece of cake. Even if they were to encounter a 3rd firmament martial god, Lingtian and Lin Zhirong would be able to defeat them easily. With Lingtian's terrifying means, he was able to suppress them completely. The 4 palaces had obtained the metal and wood will of the Great Path. Now that the 5 elements will of the Great Path had been perfected and 4 kinds of will had been gathered, the earth will of the Great Path was lacking. As long as he gathered the will of the earth, he would be able to make the will of the 5 elements reach perfection. However, he had already subdued one of the experts at the 2nd heaven of the War God realm and one at the 3rd heaven of the War God realm, so he was still short of 2 or 3. Brother Lingtian's 5 elements Dao intent has already gathered 4 Dao intents, but it's still lacking the earth Dao intent. In the 9 temples, there's only the middle palace left. As long as I reach the middle palace and obtain the will of the earth, my cultivation will increase greatly. Xianyuan Yinglong looked at Lingtian with a faint smile on her face. Although they had encountered many martial god powerhouses in the past half a month, they were not in any danger with Lingtian around. Moreover, Lingtian's strength was becoming more and more terrifying. Even she could not sense how powerful Lingtian had become. During this period of time, we've encountered quite a number of martial god experts. Moreover, these people are all here to obtain the will of the great path in the palace. However, some people don't know about the will of the great path in the palace, so they naturally didn't come to fight for it. The central palace is where the competition is the fiercest, so we have to be careful. Lingtian's expression was calm, but he was excited. Although he had traveled quite a distance during this period of time, he had reaped many benefits. With the gathering of the 4 kinds of will, his cultivation and strength increased greatly. His entire body sublimated and reached a magical realm. However, he knew that the competition was the fiercest in the central palace, because only in the central palace would the last place of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace be opened. 99 experts had entered, and more than 20 experts had died in his hands. However, compared to the 99 people, it was only a small portion. Moreover, what he was looking forward to the most was to see why the 9 palaces were in disorder. Because the attributes of the palaces in each direction were different, these attributes were all in disorder. The 9 palaces were originally divided into 6, 2, 7, 3, 8, 4, 9, and finally 5. However, these palaces were completely messed up, and the attributes in the palaces were wrong. Fortunately, the will of the 4 palaces had gathered together, and the last one was the will of the earth of the 5 elements. Then let's go first and see what the middle palace looks like. Huangfu Yuyan was curious as well. Although she did not know much about arrays, she naturally understood some of the things that happened in Xiaoyao Immortal Palace after Lingtian had told her about the problems he had encountered in the past few days. The 9 temples should not be in disorder because the 9 temples were the 8 trigrams of heaven and earth. They would not be in disorder. However, they were in disorder at this time. He did not know what this meant. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The group flew at high speed, their faces filled with curiosity. It had been a month since he entered the palace, and there were still 5 months left before he could leave. However, in this month, more than half of the original 99 experts had died. Lingtian alone had killed more than 10 or 20 of them. Rumble. Rumble. A series of earth-shattering explosions sounded in the center of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. The middle palace was located in the middle of the 9 palaces. The middle palace belonged to the earth. This was the real Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. In this world, all the attributes were part of the world. The same was true for the 5 elements. Only with the world could there be the 5 elements. At the same time, this world was the real world with the 5 elements. At the center of the palace was a vast land of yellow sand. There was a thin layer of gray mist outside the land of yellow sand. This layer of fog carried the aura of death, but within the fog, there was an earthen yellow light flashing. In the center of this light, there was an earthen yellow aura that kept flashing and flying. At some point in time, this explosion appeared, and the explosion continued. At the same time, the thin mist became transparent, allowing the outside to see everything clearly. There were already more than 30 martial god realm experts and a 9th firmament martial saint. It was extremely strange for a 9th firmament martial saint to be together with more than 30 martial god powerhouses. However, no one dared to provoke this martial saint powerhouse. At this moment, all the experts looked extremely solemn. They looked at the void as if they were waiting for something. Swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh. A group of figures landed at the edge of the thin layer of fog. Looking at this thin layer of fog, everyone's faces were extremely solemn. What a powerful earth elemental aura. Looks like the situation inside is not good. Lingtian looked at the scene in front of him with a surprised expression because everything before his eyes was too amazing. The yellow sand could be seen clearly, as if it was transparent. At the same time, he could also feel the terrifying aura of the earth element. The will of the earth should be inside. If he wanted to obtain the will of the earth, he had to enter. This place is indeed magical. The will of the earth that Sir Lingtian wants should be inside. It looks like the will of the earth is about to descend. But I don't know what that aura is. No one is chasing after it. Lin Zhirong saw that there were more than 30 experts inside. The remaining experts of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace were also here. It seemed that these people had been here for quite some time. They didn't know that they had already searched for it and obtained many things. However, looking at the situation inside, he was also shocked. Let's go in. Lingtian pondered for a moment. He could see what was happening inside from the outside, but he could not sense the aura inside. He only knew about the earth element aura. The other experts could only see everything inside, but they couldn't hear the sound or know the aura of the items inside. Then, he called Huangfu Yuyan and the others into the divine dragon ring and flew into the thin mist with Lin Zhirong and the others. In an instant, the group of people seemed to have passed through a water curtain and entered the fog, arriving at the land of yellow sand. After entering the land of yellow sand, Lingtian pressed his hand against the mist. However, what happened next shocked everyone. The fog did not obstruct its entry at all, but Lingtian's attack did not shake the fog at all. It was like an iron wall. It wasn't that easy to get out. Moreover, he could see the expert in the aura inside at first, but after entering, he could no longer see them. From the outside, it was only a few miles wide, but after entering, it was vast and boundless. The experts that he had seen earlier had also disappeared. It should be because they were too far away. Let's go to the middle. After arriving at the land of yellow sand, Lingtian's expression was calm, but his heart was filled with shock. He had been to countless mysterious places, but he had never seen such a magical place. With his powerful cultivation, he could sense the existence of the earth aura from afar. This earth aura should be the light aura from the beginning. Moreover, they could sense the changes in the sky. This change came from the void. Those experts should be shocked by the changes in the void. It was a pity that he could not hear the sounds inside from the outside at first. Otherwise, he could have roughly known the situation inside. Swoosh. Swoosh. Lingtian's body flashed swiftly after he finished speaking and he flew into the distance. Lin Zhirong followed behind him, and there were already 5 martial god realm experts. After flying for 2 days, he finally felt the shocking changes in the sky. From time to time, there would be a shocking explosion. This explosion was exactly the same as the one heard outside. In the sky, shocking gray dust soared into the sky. It looked earth-shattering and extremely terrifying. Rumble. Rumble. Explosions sounded continuously, and the ground trembled. Lingtian and the others were shocked by the scene. It was obvious that the sound was the sound of a great battle. He did not know what kind of heaven-defying treasure was inside to actually fight so fiercely. This war is not a war between humans. Lingtian spoke calmly as he observed the shocking changes in the sky and sensed the aura in the air. The powerhouses were shocked and they heard Lingtian's words. However, they did not believe it because they were subdued by Lingtian, but they had never seen Lingtian's true strength. Moreover, no matter how powerful a martial saint was, it was impossible for him to know everything. What do you mean, Sir Lingtian? Lin Zhirong looked at Lingtian seriously and asked. Since it was not a war between humans, what kind of powerhouse was it? They were all curious and wanted to know the situation of the battle inside so that they could be prepared. It's a battle between a human expert and a terrifying immortal beast. Lingtian said calmly as he looked into the void with a grave expression. The other powerhouses did not know what Lingtian was thinking at that moment. Immortal beast? Lin Zhirong and the other powerhouses were shocked at the same time. They looked at Lingtian in confusion as their expressions kept changing. Chapter 883, Precious Spirit Earth Beast, 1. This aura is immortal aura, and it also carries demonic aura. Only immortal beasts that live here all year round have such an aura. In this place, other than the true chi of humans, there is only immortal chi and demon chi. Be careful. Don't die here. It's best if you practice. Lingtian's expression turned grave. Although he spoke in a relaxed manner, he was still shocked. After all, this immortal beast was too terrifying. Demonic beasts were all low-level demonic beasts in the divine martial continent. However, immortal beasts were indeed powerful beasts from ancient times or due to mysterious reasons. Their strength was countless times stronger than demon beasts. The two were completely on different levels. Demonic beasts were of the 10th rank, and 9th rank were known as heavenly beasts. However, there were saint beasts and divine beasts above heavenly beasts, and immortal beasts were existences that were equivalent to heavenly beasts. The four of us will work together. Lord Xiao Tianqi and the 7th young master will protect Lord Lingtian. Sun Yang was a second firmament martial god powerhouse. After he was subdued by Li Lingtian, he was shocked beyond words by Li Lingtian's move, Bingojia Kongshan. Now that they had encountered such a thing, there were also powerful immortal beasts and experts. Naturally, they did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. After he said that, the other experts nodded in agreement. The four second firmament martial gods were Sun Yang, Bai Feng, Li Yuntian, and Nangong Zi. The third firmament martial god was Xiao Tianqi. The few of them had dealt with quite a number of experts in the past few days, and they had practiced quite a number of times. Moreover, powerhouses who could reach the martial god realm were all heaven-defying talents. Each and every one of them was a generation with unparalleled wisdom. After the discussion, Li Lingtian did not say anything. He led the 6 of them and flew forward quickly. The further they flew, the stronger the wind in the air became. Boom! Boom! The earth-shattering explosion became even more intense. Terrifying gales continuously tore through space. Shocking dust soared into the sky, and the aura of the true essence and demonic beasts of the experts became even more obvious. Li Lingtian and the others flew even faster when they saw the situation. However, they were more cautious and did not dare to be careless. Rumble. Roar. 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 Boom. Boom. Ah, ah. There were roars, sounds of attacks, and screams of experts. This place was like hell on earth. The earth trembled and space was torn apart. Li Lingtian and the rest were shocked. They had noticed some movement from the outside and it had been 2 days since they entered. It seemed like the battle had been going on for a long time. This battle was endless, and the situation was extremely terrifying. Shoo! Finally, the group arrived at the center. However, when they saw the scene in front of them, they immediately exhaled a breath of cold air. Martial God realm experts were all heaven-defying figures. If they were so shocked by the scene before them, one could only imagine the situation before them. He saw a huge light shield 10 miles away. The light shield had a radius of 100 miles. Inside the light shield, there were only a dozen or so experts left. Moreover, each of the experts had terrifying injuries on their bodies. Their true essence was also exhausted, and their expressions were extremely tired. On the ground, more than 10 martial god powerhouses had already fallen. After dying, his body was still covered in terrifying injuries. The injuries were unbearable to look at. Similarly, there were hundreds of demon beasts on the ground. However, these demon beasts carried immortal spiritual energy and had already reached the level of immortal beasts. Each demon beast was 100 meters long and looked extremely terrifying. Their entire bodies were filled with a destructive aura. More than a dozen martial god realm experts fought against more than 100 immortal beasts. No one could stop. There were more than 100 immortal beasts, and all of them had already reached level 9. There were even level 4 and level 5 immortal beasts. What was even more terrifying was that among these immortal beasts, there was a gray immortal beast. This immortal beast was only 1 meter tall, and its entire body carried a terrifying earth-type aura. Moreover, there was a ball of aura on its head. It was impossible to tell how powerful this immortal beast was, but all the immortal beasts surrounded this 1 meter long immortal beast as if this immortal beast was their king. Moreover, this immortal beast lay on the ground as if it was sleeping, completely ignoring the battle outside. Lingtian and the others were shocked by the sight. Roar! The immortal beast in the middle opened its eyes and looked at Lingtian and the others. Suddenly, the doctor roared. The world trembled, and space continued to tear and collapse. At the same time, a mysterious aura descended from the sky. This aura was pressing down on Lingtian and the others. Not good. Lingtian cried out in alarm when he saw the change. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. That was because the light barrier had grown bigger and trapped them inside. It was impossible for them to get out. Moreover, that immortal beast's roar carried a mysterious and strange power. Such a method was simply appalling. It was no different from the methods of the ancient experts. Boom! With a muffled sound, the aura in the sky exploded and finally disappeared. However, after this aura exploded, more than 10 terrifying immortal beasts appeared in the air. Lingtian and the others were completely baffled by the situation. Its aura directly transformed into a terrifying immortal beast, completely exceeding their imagination. At the same time, this commotion attracted the attention of the other experts. When they saw a few experts coming, they were all extremely excited. However, when they saw more than 10 terrifying immortal beasts, they were all in despair. The immortal beasts here were simply endless. After killing one, another would appear. Nearly half of the experts who came here had died, but there were no immortal beasts left. Spirit Earth Precious Beast! Lingtian cried out in surprise. His face was filled with shock and his heart was completely stunned. Lingtian was not bothered by the dozen or so immortal beasts' appearance. However, he was staring blankly at the 1-meter-long immortal beasts. All kinds of powerful demonic beasts, immortal beasts, saint beasts, and divine beasts kept appearing in his mind, but there was no animal that looked like this immortal beast. However, just as he was puzzled, he thought of a magical immortal beast among the 5 elements, which was the spiritual earth precious beast. Thinking of this immortal beast, he was shocked and his expression changed. Precious spirit earth beasts were the most magical immortal beasts of the 5 elements. He did not have any power, but he could summon powerful immortal beasts. His voice could transform into powerful immortal beasts to attack the enemy. The 2 great powers of spirit earth precious beasts were the summoning of immortal beasts and their terrifying defense. Their defense was heaven-defying. The immortal beast summoned by this spirit earth precious beast was level 4 or 5 of the 9th step. It was already level 4 or 5 of the 9th step. The higher its level was, the more powerful the immortal beast would be summoned. Moreover, the number of summons was also increasing. If this spiritual earth precious beast became stronger, it would simply be heaven-defying. From the looks of it, it should be a spirit earth treasure beast that had not truly matured. Boom! Boom! Rumble! While Lingtian was stunned, Yinglong and the rest were barely able to withstand the immortal beast's attack. The immortal beast's power was mystical and powerful, and the spells it cast were terrifying almighty skills. Yinglong could barely withstand the shocking attacks. The 6 of them practiced and kept retreating. You guys block it first. I'll use the array formation. Seeing the dozen immortal beasts attacking the 6 martial god realm experts beside him, their momentum was shocking and aggressive. If they delayed any longer, Yinglong and the others would definitely be killed. After coming to this place, there was no way to escape. Moreover, there were countless immortal beasts to kill. There was only one outcome, and that was to die inside. All right. Yinglong's face was deathly pale. However, he was only powerful at the 3rd level of the war god realm. When he encountered a powerhouse at the 4th or 5th level of the war god realm, he was helpless. If they encountered a level 4 or level 5 expert, they could only resist at most or escape. These immortal beasts were all level 4 or 5 9th order existences, equivalent to 4th or 5th level martial god experts, or even beyond. Immortal beasts were stronger than demonic beasts of the same level, and demonic beasts were stronger than humans of the same level. Now, They had encountered an immortal beast whose cultivation level was much higher than his, and their numbers were also several times that of theirs. Under such a comparison of strength, there was no chance of survival at all. Death was only a matter of time. At this point, Lingtian could only rely on his array formation to think of a solution. It was impossible for him to kill these immortal beasts and leave this place with his own abilities. Sacrifice. With a light shout, his divine sense moved. A stream of light flashed between his eyebrows, and a golden light appeared. As the golden radiance appeared, a formation diagram appeared before Lingtian. As the divine array diagram appeared before him, mysterious runes flashed. Without hesitation, Lingtian flicked his fingers and cast a series of hand seals. Swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The spell appeared in the air and landed on the divine array diagram. The divine array diagram trembled and the golden light became even stronger. All the immortal beasts and powerhouses were looking at Lingtian as they were completely attracted by the radiance on the divine array diagram. Roar! 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 At this moment, the spirit earth precious beast roared. It looked gentle, but its voice was extremely terrifying. Even a martial god expert would feel a deafening sound in front of this voice. It would have been fine if the spirit earth precious beast did not bark. However, Lingtian had a bad feeling when it did. All the immortal beasts were charging toward Lingtian at high speed. It abandoned its previous opponent and dashed toward Lingtian. It seemed that the earthly spirit beast had already known what Lingtian was going to do. It quickly ordered the immortal beasts below to kill Lingtian first. Lingtian was speechless when he realized that the earth spirit beast possessed such intelligence. He could only hope that Yinglong and the others could hold on for a while and wait for him to finish casting the technique. Instantly, the air was extremely oppressive. Hundreds of destructive immortal spiritual energy blasted over with terrifying demonic chi. The space was also destroyed at this time, as if the end of the world had arrived. Chapter 884, Lingtian's Power, 1. Hundreds of destructive attacks were hurled at Lingtian and the others. With such destructive power, even a martial god powerhouse would be annihilated, let alone a mere martial saint like Lingtian. For a moment, all the experts were stunned. These immortal beasts were at level 4 or level 5 of the 9th level, with the lowest being level 1 of the 9th level. Any one of them could easily destroy Lingtian. However, now that all of them were attacking Lingtian together, there was no way Lingtian could survive. Metal Will. Divine Shadow Heavenly Dipper, Golden Light Heavenly God Formation. At this critical moment, Lingtian's expression remained calm as he flicked his fingers continuously. One after another, he cast a series of hand seals on the divine array diagram. With a final shout, the final hand seal was cast. The metal will on Lingtian's body surged and at the same time, a dazzling golden light was emitted from the divine array diagram. The golden light was as dazzling as the sun in the sky. The appearance of the golden light immediately formed a golden light shield with Lingtian as the center. The formation of the golden light barrier brought down hundreds of destructive attacks. Rumble. Rumble. The attacks that covered the sky and the earth caused a shocking sound. The golden light barrier kept trembling. However, the attacks of hundreds of immortal beasts were still blocked at this time. All the attacks were blocked by a thin layer of light shield. There were even quite a number of immortal beasts that were repelled. The magical power of the light barrier stunned all the experts. The outcome was beyond the expectations of all the powerhouses and immortal beasts. They did not expect that Lingtian and the others would be blocked by a thin light shield even though they seemed to be about to vanish into thin air. Pfft! Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood as he retreated a few steps. Stars in the 9 heavens, exterminate. Although he had blocked all the attacks of the immortal beasts, he was still heavily injured. One had to know that these immortal beasts were all existences at the martial god realm. If hundreds of immortal beasts attacked at the same time, it was undoubtedly the same as hundreds of martial gods attacking at the same time. With such an attack, not to mention that he was only a 4th firmament martial saint, even a 9th firmament martial god venerable would not feel good. He borrowed the power of the array formation to block these attacks, but his mind was still shaken. If it wasn't for the fact that he cultivated a powerful dragon cultivation technique, the 5 elements sacred body, the heavenly sword body, the flaming sacred body, and his terrifying defense, he would have died long ago. After being injured, he saw that although the few experts beside him were not attacked by the other immortal beasts, they were still formidable when facing more than 10 immortal beasts. He did not dare to hesitate any longer. He circulated his true essence and unleashed the will of the 5 elements. He stretched out his hand and a ball of light appeared. The ball of light exploded, and the 99 5-colored spiritual pearls immediately began to spin around him. The 99 5-colored spiritual pearls seemed to be spinning without any order, but they had a mysterious trajectory. At that moment, a halo formed within 100 meters of Lingtian. 99 5-colored spiritual pearls were revolving around him. The will of the 5 elements spread out, and a separate 5-element world was formed at this time. The mysterious aura, the terrifying independent world, and the mysterious halo with the aura of destruction made people tremble. Although the powerhouses outside did not know what Lingtian's halo was, they were shocked and they saw the 5-colored spiritual pearl beside Lingtian. Boom! Chi. Lingtian walked forward step by step and headed straight for the immortal beast. Immediately, the celestial beast and the halo collided. The celestial beast was pulled into the halo by a mysterious force. Countless destructive auras appeared in the halo. The immortal beast was killed by the aura without any defense. Level 3 or 4 immortal beasts of the 9th level completely lost their advantage in the halo. They had no chance to resist and were directly killed. Domain? It's a domain. It's a false domain. The powerhouses outside were shocked by Lingtian's situation. Their eyes were filled with fear as if they had seen a ghost. This was because they saw the halo around Lingtian. The immortal beast in the halo was killed without any resistance. Such a miraculous power could only be achieved by a territory. In the territory, Lingtian was the master who controlled the lives of all living beings. However, some people could tell that Lingtian was not using a territory. It was merely a divine power that was close to a territory. It should be noted that only powerhouses above the true god level could cast a territory. Lingtian's earlier display was indeed powerful, but it was not a territory yet. It could only be a false territory. Roar. Chi, roar. Bang, bang. 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 For a moment, a dull thud was heard from the golden light shield. Wherever Lingtian passed, the light would kill the immortal beasts. Even though the immortal beasts were powerful, they were still afraid of Lingtian's terrifying strength. However, Lingtian had no intention of letting them go. In just a moment, the dozen or so immortal beasts were all killed. The golden light barrier finally quieted down. All the celestial beasts were killed by the 9 skies stars. Lingtian's face was as white as a sheet and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Lin Zhirong and the others were stunned. Seeing Lingtian's miraculous methods, her mind was unable to react as if it had been electrocuted. A martial saint was actually so magical and terrifying. Was this still a martial saint? Even the martial god experts had never seen such a magical divine power. In his imagination, he had never imagined that there was such a powerful and magical ability. He had never even heard of it, let alone seen it. The divine martial continent actually had such a powerful divine ability and such a magical skill? Previously, the few martial god powerhouses were not convinced by Lingtian. Now, they witnessed Lingtian's magical array blocking the attacks of hundreds of immortal beasts and his magical 9 heaven stars killing more than a dozen immortal beasts. How powerful and miraculous was this? Looking at the 99 5-colored spiritual pearls revolving around Lingtian, he looked like a true god. The powerhouses were instantly excited. Roar. The spirit-treasured beast was also shocked by Li Lingtian's strength. It then reacted and roared. The immortal beasts outside the golden light barrier went crazy and attacked the other martial god experts crazily. It seemed like they wanted to kill the powerhouses outside first before dealing with Li Lingtian and the others. Rumble. Rumble. A series of earth-shattering explosions rang out, and dust soared into the sky. In the gray world, more than a dozen experts continuously dodged attacks. In an instant, a massacre between immortal beasts and humans began once again. Your Excellency. Please save me. As long as you save me, I will take a detour 3,000 miles away from the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace and do any 3 things for you when I see you. That's right. Please help me. No matter what happens in the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, as long as we leave this place, I promise to do 3 things for you. If you go back on your word, your cultivation will drop. Sir, please save me. 7th Young Master and Sir Lingtian, please help us. Outside the golden light shield, more than a dozen experts were fighting with more than 100 immortal beasts. However, in the face of the attacks of the immortal beasts, more than a dozen experts had no advantage at all. It was only a matter of time before they perished. However, when they saw how powerful Li Lingtian was, they began to beg him. At this time, there was no longer the demeanor of a strong person. Survival was more important. Remember what you just said. Otherwise, I can save you, and I can also destroy you. The expression on Li Lingtian's face changed several times before he finally made up his mind. As soon as he finished speaking, the divine array diagram emitted a dazzling light again. Sacrifice. Golden light flashed as Li Lingtian's divine consciousness moved. The divine dragon ring vibrated. The entire golden light barrier began to tremble, and the space itself began to tremble. Lin Zhirong and the others were even more shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Li Lingtian summoned 9 huge pillars with his divine consciousness. They were spirit stone pillars. Each spirit stone pillar had a diameter of 5 meters and a height of 100 meters. Such a powerful spirit stone pillar was completely beyond their imagination. Such a powerful spirit stone pillar had already exceeded the value of spirit stones. It was completely a priceless treasure. After the spirit stone pillar appeared, a shocking spiritual qi appeared. The spiritual qi of the 5 elements emitted from the pillar. Li Lingtian did not hesitate at all. He flicked his 10 fingers and cast a series of hand seals. The divine array diagram was stabilized by the spiritual qi from the 9 spirit stone pillars. At the same time, the 9 spirit stone pillars fused with the golden light shield. The mysterious light screen fused with the golden light, and the original golden light shield became even more magical. A huge independent world was formed at this time. It looked like a fairyland. Come in. Li Lingtian roared, and with a swipe of his hand, a crack appeared on the light shield. The powerhouses outside were constantly fleeing and dodging. They were all shocked by Li Lingtian's methods. As soon as Li Lingtian shouted, they all flew toward the crack. In the blink of an eye, a dozen martial god powerhouses had entered the light screen. There was endless slaughter outside, but it was quiet and peaceful inside. It was completely a paradise. After the last martial god expert entered the light screen closed, blocking all the immortal beasts outside. However, at this time, there was still one person who was blocked outside by the immortal beast. All the experts completely ignored this expert. There was a trace of luck in their eyes, but more of it was coldness. In front of so many terrifying immortal beasts, that martial saint youth would disappear in the blink of an eye. Swoosh. To everyone's surprise, Li Lingtian's figure flashed and he left the light screen without a care in the world. He then arrived at the center of the hundreds of immortal beasts. True dragon body protection. With a loud roar, a shocking dragon aura erupted. Instantly, his entire body reached a terrifying level, and his strength also reached a terrifying level. The huge fist smashed out fiercely. His figure flashed again, and he turned into a light shadow, shuttling between the powerful immortal beasts. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the martial saint. The martial saint's expression was calm, and there was no change in his expression. However, there was a strange glint in his eyes as he looked at Lingtian. Chapter 885. The Power of the Yinglong Battles the Immortal Beast. Nonsense. A martial sage realm warrior dares to come here? This is simply nonsense. Let's go. You're lucky this time. Otherwise, you would have become a delicious meal for the immortal beasts. Lingtian's face turned cold as he looked at the young man before him. A faint smile appeared in his eyes. Others could not tell who this young man was, but he could tell that disguising himself was a piece of cake in front of him. The Tian family of the divine continent Tianxin. When they were outside the land of yellow sand, they had already seen this young man. They were curious about how powerful a martial saint was. However, the cultivation technique that this young man was using was actually the sky-screen golden flame of the Tian family of the divine continent. In a place like the Black Continent, only Heaven Heart had the sky-screen golden flame. Only such a proud daughter of heaven could have such heaven-defying strength. If it was anyone else, he really wouldn't have attacked. However, this girl was someone he had met a few times and could be considered an acquaintance. He couldn't just watch as Tianxin was destroyed by the immortal beast. You know me? Heaven Heart looked at the smile in Lingtian's eyes as if he had been seen through. Instantly, he lost his confidence when he spoke. She looked at Lingtian with a scrutinizing gaze. She was behaving like a little girl and did not look like a man at all. Her actions alone betrayed her. If it was anyone else, would have taken action. Go in. Lingtian was shocked when he felt the overwhelming force of the immortal beast monster pressing down on him. This Heaven Heart was nagging here and delayed time. These immortal beasts had already reacted. He didn't dare to hesitate any longer. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Tian Xian. He then threw Tian Xian away, aiming for the light screen. When he threw Heaven Heart out, he casually waved his hand across the air. A mysterious force tore a crack in the light screen, and Heaven Heart entered it. However, when he threw the Heaven Heart, a shocking demonic power came from behind him. Rumble. Woo-woo. A terrifying power tore through space, and a destructive power cyclone. Heaven and earth trembled along with the force. The terrifying force slammed into Lingtian's body. It was a 100-meter-long, 5th-level Tier 9 immortal beast with destructive power. Its strength was equivalent to a 5th-level martial god. Under one attack, let alone a martial saint, even a martial god would disappear into thin air. Sir Lingtian. Lingtian. Lin Zhirong and the others exclaimed in the light screen. The moment Heaven's Heart entered the light screen, he saw the celestial beast's devastating attack heading toward Lingtian. If Lingtian had not thrown her out and delayed her, he would have had a chance to defend himself with his body movement and cultivation base. Now, Lingtian was completely exposed to the immortal beast's huge claws. The destructive force was about to tear Lingtian apart. At that moment, everyone was stunned. If Lingtian were to fall, they would not have a good ending either. Boom! Ah! With a deafening explosion, the gigantic claw struck Lingtian. However, at the critical moment, Lingtian's body twisted in a strange manner. He raised one hand to meet the huge claw. At the same time, he roared and circulated his shocking power to the extreme. Tisk! With a deafening explosion, Lingtian was pushed back along the ground, but his body left a deep mark on the ground. The huge immortal beast did not waver at all when it collided with Lingtian's fist. Roar! Roar! Rumble! Hundreds of immortal beasts charged at Lingtian rapidly. Lingtian's body was constantly shuttling through the immortal beasts with traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. Very good. Lingtian's figure flickered. He looked dashing, but he was in a sorry state. He was furious. He had never been in such a sorry state before. Now, he was actually attacked by a group of immortal beasts like this. He did not even have the chance to fight back. Naturally, he was furious. As soon as he finished speaking, the true essence in his body strangely disappeared. However, as soon as the true essence disappeared, his entire body turned into an afterimage that shot into the void. At the same time, when his true essence disappeared, a terrifying true dragon chi appeared on his body. The appearance of the true dragon chi immediately tore the entire space apart. The powerful immortal beast felt the existence of the true dragon chi and was also shocked. It kept roaring. Roar. True dragon body protection, 6th level, Yinglong power. In the air, Lingtian's afterimage transformed into a gigantic flying rain dragon. The flying rain dragon was 1,000 meters long and its 100-meter-long wings flapped continuously. The tearing power tore the space apart inch by inch, and the spatial clouds were stirred. Heaven and earth changed color, as if the end of the world had arrived. The huge Yinglong was incomparably domineering, and its huge tail swayed gently. However, every time it swayed, space would tear apart. The true dragon chi entered his body at this time. The terrifying dragon chi carried a shocking dragon might and erupted with an aura that looked down on the world. Yinglong's power. Dragon clan cultivation technique. Transforming into a winged dragon. How terrifying. What a powerful Yinglong's power. I didn't expect a human to cultivate such a powerful incarnation. On the light screen, the martial god powerhouses were shocked beyond words. Lingtian had managed to dodge the immortal beast's destructive blow at the last moment. Now that he had unleashed his incarnation, the terrifying incarnation shocked all the powerhouses. Tian Xian was shocked when she saw Lingtian's incarnation. When she thought of the smile in Lingtian's eyes, she knew that Lingtian had recognized her. Moreover, he had risked his life to save her from so many immortal beasts, but he had to bear the attacks of countless immortal beasts. For a moment, his mind was filled with terror. Spirit Earth precious beast, if you have the ability, summon another immortal beast. Let's see if I can eliminate all of them. Yinglong's huge wings flapped, and its entire body was five-colored, flashing with a mysterious light. The loud and clear voice was deafening as he looked at the Spirit Earth precious beast among the immortal beasts. If you have the ability, then kill them first. The Spirit Earth treasure beast looked at the Yinglong in the sky with shock in its eyes. However, it spoke in a human voice and its tone was extremely disdainful. Roar. The Yinglong roared and flapped its huge wings. Immediately, space was torn apart, and destructive gales pressed down on all the immortal beasts. Although immortal beasts were powerful, they couldn't fly. Yinglong was the king of the sky. It was supreme and had a shocking advantage. Its huge wings attacked from afar. Tear. The huge claw made a tearing gesture. Suddenly, a hole appeared in the void. This hole happened to be behind an immortal beast. The Yinglong flapped its huge wings and its huge body was extremely agile. It fiercely attacked the immortal beast. Rumble. The immortal beast and the Yinglong collided. Although the immortal beast had reached level 5 of the 9th stage, the Yinglong's strength was shocking. With a single attack, the immortal beast was thrown out and directly stored into the void opening. The immortal beast disappeared, and the opening closed. An immortal beast disappeared just like that. Boom. Bang. Roar. Boom. In an instant, hundreds of immortal beasts and the flying rain dragon fought. The flying rain dragon was 1,000 meters long, while the immortal beasts were only 100 meters long. When the flying rain dragon swept its huge tail, several immortal beasts were thrown out. The flying rain dragon carried the true dragon's chi that could destroy the world. After transforming into the flying rain dragon, Lingtian's strength was extremely terrifying. It was not the slightest bit different from the strength of an immortal beast. In fact, it was even more powerful. The battle between the immortal beast and the Yinglong was extremely brilliant. Only at this moment did the experts in the light curtain understand how powerful the true experts in the world were. A martial saint expert had actually reached such a level after his incarnation. If one were to ask the experts in the world, how many of them would dare to fight a large group of immortal beasts like this? Roar! The Yinglong's huge tail swept across, sending countless immortal beasts flying. Its huge wings flapped, sending countless immortal beasts flying. It's time to end it. At this moment, the phantom of the Yinglong floated in the air and flew into the void. However, just as the shadow entered the void, Lingtian appeared beside the precious earth spirit beast. A mysterious ball of ice flame appeared in his hand, and the ice flame had already imprisoned the precious earth spirit beast. The spirit earth treasure beast's eyes were filled with shock as it looked at the Yinglong in the void with a puzzled expression. Roar! Roar! Roar, roar! Seeing that the spirit earth precious beast was imprisoned, all the immortal beasts roared. Similarly, the immortal beasts looked at the flying rain dragon in the void and Lingtian beside the spirit earth treasure beast in confusion. They could not understand what was going on. Disappear. Lingtian activated his divine consciousness and cast a spell seal at the spirit earth precious beast. Immediately, the spirit earth precious beast emitted a strange immortal spirit chi. The appearance of the immortal spirit chi turned all the immortal beasts into nothingness and vanished from the world. At the same time, the flying rain dragon in the sky swooped down on Lingtian. Just as it was about to reach Lingtian, the flying rain dragon transformed into Lingtian. The two Lingtians merged together to form one Lingtian, just like a shadow and its master. Clone. The powerhouse on the screen finally understood that one of the two Lingtians was actually Lingtian's clone. Instantly, everyone was extremely shocked. A martial saint expert had actually cultivated an avatar. One had to know that only a martial god expert had a 1 in 10,000 chance of cultivating an avatar. A martial saint expert could not cultivate an avatar. He did not expect that this martial saint would cultivate one. Furthermore, he had used his clone at the most critical moment. His calculations were extremely precise. This calculation was not something that ordinary martial god experts could compare to. However, thinking about it, which of this young man's methods wasn't earth-shattering? All the experts had already begun to gradually become numb. The celestial beast disappeared and the precious earth spirit beast was imprisoned by Lingtian's ice frost flame. The world finally quieted down. The dust in the air gradually settled down, and the space slowly became clear. However, Lingtian did not stop there. A hint of excitement flashed across his eyes as he waved his hand. His vital essence drew the aura floating above the spirit earth treasure beast's head to him. The expression on his face became excited. Then, he took out the divine array diagram and several array formations imprisoned the spirit earth precious beast. Then, he sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes slightly. He used his divine sense to sense the will of the earth in the air and absorbed the aura in front of him. Chapter 886, Strong Breakthrough, Level 6. That aura was the essence of the will of the earth, not an ordinary will. Instead, it was a ball of Tao intent that seemed to have become a spirit. Earth was the mother of the earth. Heaven and earth were heaven and earth. Heaven was nothingness, and earth was a physical entity. Among the 5 elements, earth was also the thickest. Although it was not as sharp and overbearing as metal, nor as gentle as water, nor as terrifying as fire, nor did it have the vitality of wood, earth was still the thickest. It was the most important attribute of the 5 elements. This attribute was not only the attribute of the 5 elements, but also the heaven and earth. The importance of all the earth could be imagined. Without earth, there would be no heaven and earth, and there would be no perfection of the 5 elements. Lingtian closed his eyes slightly. With a grave expression and a faint smile on his face, he waved his hands continuously while the earth will of the way in front of him spun continuously. Boom! At that moment, a shocking explosion was heard. Lingtian flicked his finger and a thick earth aura soared into the sky. The aura immediately shot up to the 9th heaven. Between heaven and earth, it was dark. Only that aura emitted a faint light. This light was thick. Although it was not bright, it lit up the world. Above the 9 heavens, a powerful earth aura continued to descend. The aura entered Lingtian's glabella and he began to spin rapidly. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, just like the arrival of a storm. Ah! Lingtian roared at the sky as he allowed the earth aura in the air to enter his body. Even though his voice was loud and powerful, it was nothing compared to the current situation. The will of the 5 elements had already been perfected, but now that he had obtained the will of the 9 temples, the 5 elements lacked the will of the earth. Only after fusing the will of the earth could he truly reach perfection. Metal, wood, water, and fire had already fused. Now that he had fused with the will of the earth, the pain could be imagined. Yinglong and the rest were extremely worried when they saw Lingtian's condition. However, if Lingtian were to pass this stage, his strength would undergo a heaven-defying transformation. Heaven Heart was shocked when he saw Lingtian's condition. Kacha! With a loud explosion, a bolt of lightning appeared in the sky and struck Lingtian. Bang! With a dull thud, Lingtian was struck by lightning. His hair stood on end and his face was black. However, Lingtian did not pause at all. He waved his hands continuously and unleashed the 5 elements' will. The 5 elements' sacred body was activated and the earth will was integrated. The aura entered Lingtian's glabella and the 5 element Tao intent wreaked havoc in the space. The sky and the earth shook continuously. Lingtian gradually floated in the air as he was tempered by the heaven and earth. It was as if his entire body had fused with the world. His entire body emitted a powerful aura, and this aura fused with the world. Rumble. At that moment, streams of divine might emanated from Lingtian's body. As the 5 elements Tao will merged, the divine might grew stronger. Seconds passed. The sky gradually quieted down as Lingtian hovered in the air. The will of the world was absorbed by him. It was a mystical sight as if he had the entire world under his control. There was no aura or presence from Lingtian's body. He was just like an ordinary person. However, with a flip of his hand, the world trembled. His entire person was like the ruler of the world. With a flip of his hand, he could summon clouds and rain. His strength could break the void and shatter the sky. 4th sky of the martial saint realm, break. At that moment, Lingtian's aura changed strangely. As his aura changed, the world changed as well. 5 colored clouds appeared in a radius of 100 meters around him. The 5 colors were metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The 5 colored clouds swirled around Lingtian. Lingtian's aura surged from the 4th heaven of the martial saint realm to the peak perfection of the 4th heaven of the martial saint realm. Lingtian roared at the critical point. All the powerhouses were shocked and they could not believe their eyes. This was because Lingtian's aura had changed. He was originally at the 4th heaven of the martial saint realm, but he had instantly reached the 5th heaven of the martial saint realm. Under such circumstances, he had made a breakthrough. 5th sky of the martial saint realm, break. It was not over yet. While all the powerhouses were still in shock, Lingtian's divine consciousness moved and he looked up into the void. A pill appeared before him. The pill was the size of a finger and it exuded a strong spirituality. Without any hesitation, Lingtian cast a series of hand seals. The seal on the elixir was removed immediately and a terrifying medicinal effect was released. However, Lingtian had already swallowed the elixir before the effect was released. The terrifying true essence quickly refined the medicinal pill. In a short while, the medicinal pill turned into a magical power. This power was breaking through the bottleneck of the 5th heaven. Boom! There was a dull thud in the air as Lingtian's aura exploded, causing the world to tremble. His heaven-defying aura soared rapidly. He had just broken through to the 5th sky of the martial saint realm, but in the blink of an eye, he had reached the peak of the 5th sky of the martial saint realm. Rumble. Rumble. Ah, ah. Rumble. Kacha, kacha. Rip, rip. The air seemed to be bursting as Lingtian shouted. A shocking power ravaged the space, tearing it apart continuously. Cracks appeared, and endless astral winds ravaged the world. Lingtian's aura had reached its peak. Finally, his terrifying aura reached a critical point as he charged into another world. Sixth sky of the martial saint realm, breakthrough. The world was being destroyed as it was being torn apart by Lingtian's aura. The world was trembling. All the experts were shocked. The appearance of a martial saint realm expert, an array formation, and a fake domain of the 9 heaven stars instantly killed the immortal beasts. He used a terrifying array formation to save all the experts. The last person transformed into a winged dragon and fought against the immortal beasts. He killed all the immortal beasts and absorbed the aura of the earth, achieving the perfection of the 5 elements Tao intent. He wanted to break through to the 5th heaven and reach the 6th heaven. In just an hour, he had accomplished something that others could never accomplish in their entire lives. Any matter was earth-shattering, but in front of this young man, it became so casual. In the past, martial saint powerhouses were all ants in front of them. However, this martial saint powerhouse in front of them made them feel inferior and afraid. 5 elements perfection, heaven and earth become one. 6th sky of the martial saint realm, sweeping the world. Lingtian's expression was calm as he folded his arms. A 5-colored ball of light appeared between his hands. The ball of light carried a mysterious and destructive aura. Although there was no shocking sign, it gave all the experts a threat of death. However, at this moment, the entire world began to spin strangely. The speed of the rotation made all the experts dizzy, as if the world was about to turn upside down. Lingtian's face was also filled with grave horror. He spread out his hands and the 5-colored ball of light vanished, transforming into a breath that entered his body. Xiaoyao Immortal Palace is officially open. Begin the journey of 9 deaths and 1 life. The 9 palaces are in chaos, the world is changing. The appearance of the 9 palaces shocked the world. The 5 elements pacify the world, and the 9 palaces suppress the gods. Just as Lingtian was in shock, a 5-colored radiance descended from the void. This 5-colored radiance was exactly the same as the 5 elements cloud when he started his breakthrough. Moreover, a 9 palace will appeared under his feet. At this moment, he was in the middle palace. He was in the middle palace and was in the 5 elements. The wheel was just a light shadow, but this light shadow extended out, extending infinitely. Instantly, all the experts were also planned into the middle palace. A shocking roulette appeared. The roulette was like a chess game of heaven and earth. The Zhen Palace, Qian Palace, Kuan Palace, Dui Palace, Sun Palace, Li Palace, Zhen Palace, Qin Palace, and Middle Palace instantly appeared on the wheel. A 5-colored radiance appeared from every palace. Immediately, the palaces that Lingtian passed by emitted a shocking will of the great path. The palace also quickly condensed at this time. The originally vast Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was now gathered together, only a few dozen miles in radius. A simplified version of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace appeared in front of Lingtian and the others. The scene shocked Lingtian and Lin Zhirong to the core. At the same time, an ethereal voice appeared in the void. The ethereal voice had no expression or emotion. It was obvious that this voice was different from the outside world. The appearance of the voice immediately caused all the experts to be incomparably shocked. Some words that no one could understand were transmitted into the ears of all the experts. The other powerhouses were fine, but Lingtian was utterly shocked. Because they had seen the 9 temples in chaos from the beginning, they were puzzled and curious. They did not expect someone to actually say that the 9 temples were in chaos now. Rumble. 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 After this voice disappeared, a series of shocking explosions sounded continuously. All the experts were extremely shocked. After such a long time, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace had finally opened. This was simply killing. However, many experts were excited and looking forward to it. This was because there would definitely be good fortune after surviving a great disaster. They had started to be attacked by immortal beasts and had a slim chance of survival. Now that the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace had truly opened, they would definitely obtain mysterious benefits. The ground trembled, and the wheel under his feet slowly floated up and flew into the void. All the powerhouses were shocked. They did not know what horrifying things were happening down there, but they all looked at Lingtian. With Lingtian around, they felt more or less at ease. Swoosh. At that moment, Lingtian's figure flashed and he flew toward the light screen. However, the wheel stopped when he was about to leave the heart of the middle palace. This situation shocked Lingtian and all the powerhouses. Come in. Lingtian did not dare to delay any longer when he realized the situation. He shouted loudly as he looked at Yinglong and the others. Then, he activated the divine dragon ring and called Yinglong and the others into it. When he looked at Heaven Heart, he paused for a moment and asked, "Do you want to come along?" Lingtian looked at Heaven Heart and asked anxiously. As he possessed the 5 elements sacred body and 5 elements will of Tao, he could not afford to delay any further as soon as he left the middle palace heart wheel. Chapter 887, The Secret of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, Destiny, all right. Heaven Heart nodded without hesitation. Although he did not know where Lingtian had taken the powerhouses who had disappeared believed in Lingtian so much. Furthermore, Lingtian had only taken away his own people. There must be some sort of treasure. The fact that Lingtian asked him at this time proved that he did not treat him as an outsider. With that, the hair on Tianxin's head scattered, and the expression on her face changed. Her originally wooden expression returned to its original state. After the exquisite disguise, the young man turned into a peerless beauty. Although his expression was cold and his temperament was cold, he was no longer the young man with a wooden expression at the beginning. She was still dressed like a man, but this made her look even more alluring. She was less beautiful and more heroic. Lingtian did not say anything else. With a flick of his divine consciousness, the divine dragon ring was activated once again and he summoned Tian Xian into the divine dragon ring. Once he was done, Lingtian waved his hand and cast a series of hand seals. The light screen disappeared, and the 9 huge pillars of spirit stones were put into the divine dragon ring. In a flash, Lingtian returned to the heart of the middle palace. It only took him a few seconds before the roulette wheel stopped. When Lingtian returned to the heart of the middle palace, the roulette wheel was rising rapidly to an unknown place. Rumble. There was a shocking explosion. There was also an endless gale within the explosion. The gale tore apart all the experts. This gale was enough to tear apart and destroy experts below the Martial Saint realm. Moreover, the pressure in the air became even stronger, causing all the experts to vent their anger. They looked extremely ugly. Crash. At this moment, all the experts seemed to have drilled out of the lake, and a whooshing sound appeared in the air. Suddenly, a strange aura pressed down. All the experts saw a thick fog in front of them, and they could not see each other. Moreover, the wheel started spinning again, and all the experts were flashing rapidly. Phew. As the sound of the wind fell, the 9 palaces changed. All the experts did not have any companions beside them. Everyone appeared at the edge of a palace. The 9 palaces scattered, separating the remaining experts. The world became quiet again. Lingtian stood in the middle of the palace and watched as the powerhouses were separated. He could see everything clearly, just like a chess player watching a chess piece being moved. This feeling was very strange, but it did appear. Just as the powerhouses parted ways, the roulette quieted down. However, at that moment, a ray of light descended from the sky and it blinded Lingtian. It was not 5 colors, not 7 colors, nor any other color. In any case, the color was unclear. The light descended and bombarded his body. The destructive power pressed down, causing him to instinctively resist. The will of the five elements, the might of heaven and earth. Divine might. Lingtian looked at the destructive radiance and unleashed his terrifying divine might. Pfft. However, the terrifying divine might that could directly kill the martial god and the terrifying heaven-defying defensive physique were actually unable to block this light at all. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body was thrown out, landing heavily on the ground. Lingtian did not dare to stay any longer as his body fell to the ground. He forced his body to move and flew into the distance because there was a huge palace behind the light. The palace was multicolored, and there was a five-colored immortal aura on it. It looked mysterious and perfect. It was simply the most beautiful palace in the world. Around the palace, there was a vast amount of immortal spiritual energy. Boom! Just as Lingtian dodged the attack, the palace landed heavily on the middle palace. Lingtian was shocked to the core. If he had been a little slower, the palace would have vanished into thin air. However, Lingtian's expression changed when he saw the palace. Because the location and layout of the palace, as well as its construction and shape, were completely like the yin-yang fish of the 9 palaces and 8 trigrams. Even though it looked like a 4-colored glaze, Lingtian could clearly see that the palace was essentially black and white. Lingtian was shocked when he saw this. The 9 palaces were in chaos. The palaces he encountered were all in disorder, and everything revealed problems and mysteries. It was as if someone was controlling everything. This Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was a huge 9 palaces 8 trigrams, and it was a chaotic 9 palaces 8 trigrams. He was in the middle of the palace, and the palace had formed into a yin-yang fish. The other experts had also been separated, and the spirit earth precious beasts had also appeared. All of this was completely a shocking chess game. Instantly, Lingtian was completely stunned. He had walked into a shocking chess game. What else could he say? Young man, we finally meet. Just as Lingtian was in a daze, the voice sounded again. The voice was ethereal, but it was like a bolt of lightning in Lingtian's ears, waking him up. His eyes and divine sense swept around, but he did not see anyone. The more this was the case, the more shocked he was. You were behind all of this? Lingtian circulated his ice soul martial soul and asked calmly with a calm expression on his face. This was the advantage of the ice soul martial spirit. At any time, he could calm his mind and face anything with the calmest emotion. He was the clearest about the affairs in the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. He knew that the 9 temples were in disorder, and he felt that many things were being manipulated behind the scenes. Someone who could control the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace and the 9 temples was definitely not a simple character. It should be someone like the great demonic god Tian. However, he was curious as to why only 9 people came out of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace that opened once every 2,000 years. Although they had all become heaven-defying experts, they did not know what was going on inside. Could it be that some of the things here had never happened before, or that no one had known about it before? No one can control this world. I'm just an executor, a chess player. Regardless of whether I'm a chess player or a chess piece, I'm just a chess piece in this world. All of this is just an ending. Or rather, it's a beginning. It started because of you. The ethereal voice sounded. The voice was still calm and emotionless, like an emotionless speaker. The expression on Lingtian's face kept changing as he listened to the voice. Although he had used his ice soul martial spirit to calm his mind, he still couldn't really calm down because the voice's words were too shocking. 9 temples, you already knew that this was chaotic. Also, some of the things that I encountered in the middle were also caused by you behind my back, right? Why is this? What is your purpose? Tell me. From the looks of it, you have already achieved your goal in the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. You said we finally met. Are you targeting me or anyone else who came here? Lingtian had countless questions in his mind, but he could not ask them all at once because he did not know where the owner of the voice was. Without seeing the real person, he could not feel at ease. He didn't know if the owner of this voice would tell him everything. After saying that, he looked at the void and locked his divine sense on the palace. However, no matter if it was the palace or the void, the source of this voice could not be found. It was as if this voice had long been in the void, and it was the kind that was omnipresent. Young man, you are the first person to come here in millions of years. You must have a lot of questions in your heart. No rush, no rush. Other than you, there are still 8 people who can survive. The others will die. They are still fighting. When their battle is over, you will roughly know everything here. However, if you fail the test, everything here will have nothing to do with you. Your memory will be blank here. It'll slowly tell you what you want to know. Some things are better not to know than to know. It's just that there are some things that you have to know that ordinary people can't know. His voice was calm as if he could read Lingtian's mind. Alright, I'll wait for you to speak slowly. I'm not in a hurry. Lingtian's expression remained calm as he listened to the voice, but he was shocked to the core. This place was really a narrow escape. In the end, only a few people could leave. He was a middle-ranking official, so he was lucky enough to escape from the killing. However, he had to know a lot of things that he did not want to know, and these things might bring him to death. 7 million years ago, there was a man named Xiaoyao who came here. He also had the 5 elements, but his 5 elements were hidden. He only had the wood element. However, he managed to achieve heaven-defying hegemony and was one of the most glorious figures of mankind. However, the 5 elements are the 5 elements. Hiding the 5 elements is simply impossible. Even if he has attained the 5 elements' perfection, he is only a part of the world. There are still some magical existences outside this world. Therefore, his achievements are limited. Sai, you will know about these things in the future. There is no benefit for you to hear about it now. This world has its own destiny. However, someone has broken this destiny. The 9 palaces are in chaos. If we want to stabilize this world, someone who defies the heavens must appear. Someone who possesses the 5 elements is a person who defies the heavens. Everything in the 9 temples is destined. There are only a few things that I'm targeting at you. I'm not targeting you. I'm targeting people with the will of the 5 elements. It's just that you've exceeded my expectations. You actually have ice and fire divine sparks, and you're also a heaven-defying array master. Everything that you have done is heaven-defying, and you are destined to be the chosen one. The heavens have given you a great responsibility. Everything that you don't understand is my doing. However, some things are fixed. No one can change them. Only you can change them. The voice spoke indifferently. However, when it mentioned Lingtian's heaven-defying abilities, there was a slight fluctuation in its voice. It was a fluctuation of emotions that Lingtian caught. Upon realizing this, Lingtian was certain that the owner of the voice was still alive. Perhaps the voice had a spirit, or was it a soul or consciousness? Chapter 55, Meeting at 55, What happened? The second wholesale dealer and shopkeeper Wang asked, the question posed by the second dealer. The second dealer had just gone to exchange silver at the bank across the street, and no sooner had he entered the grand hall than he heard shopkeeper Wang talk about the marquis daughter losing something in Huichan Hall. He went with shopkeeper Wang to look for it, but unexpectedly saw this scene in the side room. This side room was specifically prepared as a rest area for Gu Jiao. Although Gu Jiao didn't use it often, people rarely intruded. When the maid said, "She stole my young lattice belongings," they thought it was a little thief who had sneaked in. But then they found there were only 2 people in the side room, Marquis maid and Miss Gu. So, is Miss Gu the thief the maid was referring to? The little maid didn't know Gu Jiao. When she saw the second dealer and shopkeeper Wang come up, she immediately pointed to Gu Jiao and said, "It's good that you are here. It's this little thief who stole my young lattice jade pendant. She stole my young master's jade thumb ring too." The second dealer was stunned. Might there be some misunderstanding? She wouldn't steal. How could the little girl steal? She could freely access his accounting room, and she had never touched the valuable objects in there. Moreover, the girl's eyes were clear. If she had really been caught stealing, she wouldn't be so unashamed, surely. But shopkeeper Wang didn't think so. Although he hadn't accompanied them to the marquis residence that day, he heard about it from the second dealer and the old doctor later. It was Miss Gu who had saved the young marquis. She had the opportunity to steal his jade thumb ring. Moreover, the day the marquis daughter came to Huichan Hall, the jade pendant was stolen and appeared on Gu Jiao's desk, which made shopkeeper Wang suspicious. The little maid became angry. What do you mean she wouldn't steal? Mean to say I am falsely accusing her? What does she amount to, that it would be worth it for me to travel all the way here to frame her? This was not a pleasant thing to say, but the logic was not unreasonable. The maid worked for the marquis. Her status was even more eminent than many rich families' daughters. If she wanted to slander someone, she would pick someone of suitable standing. Gu Jiao was like an ant on the ground. She wouldn't go out of her way to squash her. Unless she really stole something from the marquis residence. Are you sure you didn't mistake this for something else? There are many things in this world that look the same. The second dealer still stubbornly believed in Gu Jiao's innocence. Mistook? The little maid grinned sarcastically. Do you think the ornaments my young lady and young master wear are cheap stuff from the street? This jade pendant is a gift from the palace. Your entire Hu family couldn't afford it even if you were to squander all your wealth. The second dealer's face turned pale for a moment. If it's such a precious item, it certainly couldn't be Gu Jiao's. But he still didn't believe that Gu Jiao would steal. Isn't it possible that it could be a fake? Perhaps the item in Miss Gu's hand is fake. Shopkeeper Wang glanced at the second dealer worriedly. The second dealer had absolute trust in Gu Jiao, which would undoubtedly offend the marquis residence. He did not want the second dealer to get into trouble. Just as he was considering his words, planning to persuade Gu Jiao to confess and not to offend the marquis residence, Gu Jiao said faintly, "It's not fake, it's real." You heard her. She admitted it. The little maid said viciously. You rue. A gentle, distinguished voice slowly sounded from outside the door. Miss. You're here. The little maid immediately assumed a respectful expression and bowed to the young lady. The young girl, wearing a dark veil, raised the gauze of her veil and her skirt hem, and walked slowly. Her demeanor maintained elegance and composure. She was wearing a perfume that could only be afforded by a noble lady from the capital. As she moved lightly, a faint essence filled the room, making the atmosphere fragrant. Achoo! Gu Jiao sneezed. She was allergic to this kind of perfume. The little maid glared at Gu Jiao. Seeing that she didn't bow to her lady and even dared to sneeze rudely, she thought that a village girl was just a village girl, never able to be refined. The young lady spoke as usual. This jade pendant cannot have a counterfeit. The jade used is a Kunlun mountain mutton fat jade, and in Zhan country, only the royal family has the right to mine it. Counterfeiting things used by the royal family is a serious crime, let alone it is impossible to replicate it exactly. Oh. Gu Jiao touched her chin. What's that attitude? The little maid continued to glare at her, but because the marquis' daughter was present, she was not as domineering as before. The young lady looked at Gu Jiao and said in a warm voice, You are that little drug boy, right? Emichim. Gu Jiao responded, without asking how she had guessed it. It was not hard to figure out. The young lady said slowly, Take the jade pendant as a gift, return the thumb ring to me, and I'll act as if nothing happened. Miss. The little maid stamped her foot. Shopkeeper Wang did not expect such a dramatic turn in the situation. The marquis' daughter was truly magnanimous. Such a valuable item was given away without a second thought. Moreover, she didn't publicize it, saving both Miss Gu and Huichan Hall's reputation. Seeing that Gu Jiao remained silent, the young lady continued, The jade pendant is mine. If you like it, you may take it. But the thumb ring belongs to my brother. I need to get it back to return to him. Shopkeeper Wang was anxious at the side. He thought, hurry up and agree, hurry up and agree. Gu Jiao looked at the young girl expressionlessly and said, take back the thumb ring, leave the jade pendant with me. She had suspected earlier that the jade thumb ring belonged to the young marquis, and now it confirmed her speculation. She did not explain that the jade thumb ring accidentally slid into her sleeve pocket while she was rescuing the young marquis. Firstly, she could not describe the rescue process, and secondly, they would not believe it. So why waste her breath? The young lady said, you sure do know how to pick things. This thumb ring only has special significance to my brother, and when it comes to value, indeed it's not as precious as the jade pendant. Gu Jiao said, the thumb ring is yours because it indeed belongs to your brother. The jade pendant is not yours, so you have to return it to me. The little maid snorted, not our master's. Could it be yours? Don't you pee and look in the mirror, can you even afford such a valuable jade pendant? The young lady, Yu Ru. The second dealer frowned, please watch your language, young lady. If you don't believe me, I can't help it. Gu Jiao finished, stretching out her hand, I'll say it one last time, give me back the jade pendant. The little maid stepped back, dream on. This is my young lattice. The young lady squeezed her fingers, suppressing her anger, and said to the second dealer, you have witnessed everything today. She has openly admitted to her theft. In consideration of your Huichun Hall treating my younger brother's illness, I will not inform the authorities. But I hope nothing like this happens again. From start to finish, Gu Jiao only admitted one thing, that the thumb ring belonged to the young master. She never said she had stolen it. However, in their talk, they turned it into her admitting to theft. Chapter 889, One Flower, One World, Heavenly Tao. Subsequently, Lingtian stored the gorilla demon and the silver-winged flying dragon into the divine dragon ring before he led Huangfu Yuyan and the rest to fly toward the imperial palace. Only when he returned to the place where he had started and figured out the thing in the ethereal voice would he leave Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. This time, he had seen a lot of things in the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. He had learned some secrets of this world from the ethereal voice. However, he had to hurry back and think of a way to leave. Swoosh, swoosh. The group of people flew quickly. After a day, they finally returned to the central palace. Lingtian and the rest returned to the central palace. He then arranged for Huangfu Yuyan and the rest to cultivate. Although there were no treasures in this place, the immortal spirit Qi here was extremely rich and suitable for cultivation. If he missed this place, it would be difficult to find it again in the future. It was a cultivation realm that could only be encountered by chance, so he naturally could not miss it. While everyone was cultivating, Lingtian stood in front of the palace. He was lost in thought as he looked at the palace before him. After an unknown period of time, Lingtian opened his eyes. With a calm expression on his face, he walked toward the palace. Arriving in front of the palace, he pondered for a moment before casting a series of hand seals. Half an hour later, Lingtian's face was already covered in sweat. However, after the last spell was cast, the door of the palace opened. Lingtian finally smiled when he saw the palace door open. He was even more shocked. This place was indeed related to the 9 temples. He had tried countless incantations just now, but he could not open this palace door. In the end, he used the incantations of the 9 temples and the incantations of the array Dao to open this palace door. After the door opened, Lingtian strode in and disappeared from the palace. Heavens! In the palace, there was nothing but a huge word heaven. Lingtian fell into deep thought as he looked at the huge heaven character. In the end, he entered a state of selflessness. Lingtian did not know that he had been in the state of selflessness for a whole month. During this time, he was completely immersed in the word heaven. He arrived at a mysterious empty space. He was the only person in this world. There were no living beings, giving off a desolate aura. It was like the beginning of the world, without any living things or creatures. However, this place gave him an untouchable heavenly might. Lingtian could feel the heavenly might as he walked through it. Every step he took was extremely difficult and there were endless flashes of lightning and thunder in the sky. Heaven, above heaven and earth, there is an ethereal existence. Earth, the mother of heaven and earth, bears all things. Heaven and earth, one of the 3,000 great Taos. One of the 3,000 great Taos, heaven and earth. It carries all things in the world and all living beings in the world. At some point in time, a series of characters appeared in the word heaven. The characters flowed into his sea of consciousness with colorful lights. Moreover, when these characters appeared, there was a sound of nature in his mind. This sound of nature struck his heart and struck the deepest part of his soul. Lingtian's heart was trembling incessantly. His eyes were tightly shut but he was unaware that his aura was constantly changing. This aura became extremely mysterious. His entire person fused with the palace and the word heaven. Swoosh. At that moment, Lingtian opened his eyes and extended his hand. An ancient plaque appeared in the air with the word heaven carved on it. At the same time, Lingtian's figure disappeared. When he reappeared, he had already left the palace. This palace was located in the 9 palaces, and it was the young fish of the Yinglong fish. After leaving the palace, when it reappeared, it was already on the other side. In front of the Yin fish palace in the Yinglong fish, the hand seals in his hands continuously waved, and many hand seals appeared in front of him. In the blink of an eye, the palace door opened. With the previous experience, he directly used the 9 temples technique to open the palace door. Lingtian's figure disappeared after the palace door opened. He had already entered the palace. In the palace, Lingtian looked at the word Tao floating in the air above the palace. Tao. The huge Tao character floated in the air and Lingtian's eyes were filled with shock. He, who was close to being a god array master, had a deep understanding and unique understanding of Tao. This word almost made him lose his mind. Immediately, he quickly focused on his spirit and calmed his mind. Heaven, Tao, heavenly Tao. Lingtian muttered to himself as his expression kept changing. His eyes were filled with shock. One of the palaces represented the sky, while the other represented the Tao. This was the central palace. In addition to the 9 palaces of Xiaoyao Immortal Palace and the 2 palaces of the Yinglong fish, there were 9 palaces and 8 trigrams. The 5 elements of heaven and earth had already gathered here. Just like at the beginning, Lingtian entered a state of selflessness. This time, he was lost in thought for another month. In this 1 month's time, his entire person had completely sublimated, and his aura had changed. His array Tao had also received an endless improvement, and his entire body emitted a mysterious and elegant aura. After fusing with the heavenly Tao, his array Tao cultivation had broken through. At this moment, he had already become a divine array master. He controlled the ancient divine array in his heart, as well as countless divine arrays and the world's grand arrays. Tao. Lingtian opened his eyes and with a stretch of his hand, an ancient plaque appeared out of thin air. Just as he had said, the word Tao was written on the plaque. Lingtian's expression was calm as he looked at the token in his hand. With the 2 tokens of heaven and Tao, he had already come into contact with some secrets that he should not have come into contact with. He had also entered a huge chess game. In the past 2 months, he had vaguely understood some things that he didn't understand. He even understood a lot of things that the ethereal voice didn't know. This world was not that simple. The divine martial continent was only the lowest plane. His future path was still very long and difficult. If he wanted to control his own fate, he had to control this world. Creak. The door to the palace opened and Lingtian walked out step by step. He appeared in everyone's sight. When he came out, the experts from other places had already arrived. There were 9 palaces in the 9 temples. Apart from Lingtian, there were 8 powerhouses. 8 experts gathered here, causing the entire world to tremble continuously. This was because there were already too many people on this Xiaoyao Immortal Palace, several times more than the 9 of them. Let's go. This is the end of our trip to Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. When Lingtian came out, he saw that Huangfu Yuyan and the others had reached the 9th Firmament Martial Emperor realm in the past 2 months. As long as they found the right opportunity, they would be able to break through to the Martial Saint realm. Cultivating in the immortal spiritual energy was indeed not something spiritual energy could compare to. Following that, the remaining 8 powerhouses were aware of Lingtian's strength and did not say anything. Moreover, they had all obtained mysterious treasures and their strength had greatly increased. They had gained a lot from this adventure in the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Lingtian collected all 99 tokens before tossing them out and casting a series of hand seals. Immediately, the 99 tokens returned to the state of the first token in the Xiaoyao Celestial Palace. The 99 tokens formed a formation, a profound formation. Lingtian was still unaware of the origin and power of this array formation. The array formation formed by the token disappeared from the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace and the ground trembled. Lingtian activated the Divine Dragon Ring with his divine consciousness and called Huangfu Yuyan and the others into the Divine Dragon Ring. Boom! Boom! The ground of the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace trembled, and continuous explosions sounded. Lingtian stood in the center and watched the world tremble. An inexplicable feeling arose in his heart, but it was indescribable. Rumble. At this moment, the world rapidly shrank. In the blink of an eye, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace became the size of a floating island. Gradually, the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace returned to the size of a floating island, and it became smaller and smaller. 1,000 miles, 100 miles, 10 miles, 1 mile, boom. With a shocking explosion, the destructive power carried a strong wind and threw all the experts away. Lingtian's body was constantly being torn apart. However, at this moment, Lingtian quickly cast a hand seal and stood firmly on the island. After the powerhouses were blown away, they floated above the sea and watched the changes on the island beneath Lingtian's feet. However, at this moment, all the experts were shocked. This was because a 5-colored stream of light appeared in front of Lingtian and enveloped his entire body. Moreover, the originally small island had turned into a wheel with a radius of 1 meter. This Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was originally just a wheel. Everyone had been risking their lives for a few months, and it turned out that it was just a roulette. This Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was also just a roulette. All of these experts were like chess pieces on a chessboard. When they saw this situation, they realized that they were just chess pieces. Lingtian noticed the situation as well. He hovered in the air with a 5-colored stream of light enveloping his body as he looked at the roulette in front of him. The 9 palaces on the wheel had turned into engravings, and the palace of the yin-yang fish had also turned into engravings. Everything he encountered had turned into a roulette, and the Xiaoyao Immortal Palace was just a roulette in front of him. Tisk. With a soft sound, the 5-colored light around him entered his body, making him feel extremely comfortable. At the same time, the 1-meter-long wheel in front of him also became the size of a palm. A roulette was a Xiaoyao Immortal Palace. Lingtian could not help but think of a world in a flower and a world in a drop of water. On the wheel, there were 5 colors and mysterious array patterns that kept shining. Tisk. At this moment, a sharp sword appeared in the wheel array pattern. The sharp sword soared into the sky and floated in the air. This sharp sword fused with the world, giving people the feeling that it was a world. The sword of the heavenly Tao, the heavens imitate the earth imitate the human imitate the Tao, and the Tao imitate the heaven and earth. This sword punishes all living beings. The aura of heaven and earth revolved around the sword. The sword let out a rumbling sound, but the sound carried a mysterious and obscure will of the great path. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.